Okay, let's get this panel started. It's the last panel of streaming media, so thanks to the stalwart people that are still in the room. It's a great effort, and also to the audience that's following this on the video. But it's a great topic. It's social media and video, which is definitely a topic that's very much on the minds of a lot of people. Today I'm joined by three other panelists. First, a bit of introduction of myself. Rags Gupta, Vice President of New Business Initiatives at Brightcove. Brightcove is an online video platform, and we've been around since 2004. About 300 people, 3,000 customers, and work with a lot of companies and media, non-media, to help them with their online and mobile video initiatives. Joined by Mark Galens, VP of International TubeMogul, Kaustav Bhattacharya, Senior Technology Manager, Channel 5, and lastly, Adam King from Diagonal View. Just to set the context a little bit, and I will just switch to the presentation here. So I think it's worth setting the context of where does social media fit in terms of online video in general. What are the platforms out there that are really having an impact for programmers and their traffic and distribution strategies? The first is just to sort of maybe outline the trends. I mean, as would surprise no one, it's very much a growing and very important source of traffic for people. From the slide here, and we do a quarterly report with TubeMogul, analyzing trends with our customers in different verticals, whether it's broadcasters, newspaper publishers, and so on. And this is very much a chart, as you can see here. Facebook and Twitter by far have been seeing the most amount of growth in terms of traffic referral rates for our publishers compared to Google or other search engines. Not only that, but but the shared videos that are found, videos that are shared have a much larger, longer engagement time than ones that are found through search. Again, it makes sense. Someone you follow on Twitter or someone you're friends with on Facebook shares a video with you. Naturally, you're going to be more interested in it than, say, a video you found through search. And we're finding that to be double-digit increase in engagement times across the board. Yeah, why is Yahoo so high was the question. That's a good question. I'm not sure, actually. It may have been because this is a quarterly report, so it may have been something that had been, that they had done that quarter. This is also probably a little bit dated in terms of it's not the last quarter or two. It's probably from earlier this year. On to just a few more slides to set the context of platforms out there. I mean, YouTube and Google properties in general, we know they're the sort of the big gorilla. Some amazing traffic numbers in terms of, for YouTube itself, something like 2 billion videos a day. Again, not a lot of people realize they're the #2 search engine in the world, behind Google, right? Millions of people that are engaged, that are following one another, and they are in and of itself a social network, right? You follow people, your favorite people on YouTube, and you subscribe to their feeds. Moving on is Facebook. They've just recently overtaken Yahoo as a consumption platform. They're doing billions of video views a month. Depending on the country, they're #2 or #3. In the States, in the last report from Comscore, they were #3 behind Vivo. They're probably #2 here in the UK. And we're seeing a lot of TV stations, and Kaustav is going to really dive into it in detail. Seeing a lot of TV networks and programmers leveraging Facebook, and we have some stats like nearly 300 million people have liked a show on Facebook, and they're doing it 5 or 6 times each. TV shows are one of the most, the biggest categories of most liked pages on Facebook. So clearly a lot of user engagement, and Facebook starting to assert itself as an entertainment destination. Twitter, another one, it's very much for real-time following. People call it water cooler, the digital water cooler. Again, they just announced some recent new stats of their growth just last night or yesterday. Something like 100 million monthly users, half of whom log on daily. What's interesting here is you can see that it's clearly there's a symbiotic relationship between Twitter and TV. The chart on your left shows you Twitter activity during the MTV VMAs earlier this year. And you can see when it started airing and when it peaked. I think that was during Beyonce's performance. It peaked at something like 8,900 tweets per second. And then we've got these, various. There's a chart that I think TV Genius publishes, which is the most tweeted shows in the UK, and you can see what the maximum tweet rate is. And then finally, one that maybe isn't covered as much, but Xbox Live. Over 2 billion user hours per month. That's people that are spending on Xbox Live. 35 million registered users. And they just recently announced a content initiative to aggregate content from 50 content partners around the world, from the likes of BBC, Televisa, ZDF, Bravo, and so on. There's another stat which blew me away, was that Netflix thought that they had driven an incremental million subscribers from having had a presence and launch on Xbox Live. So clearly another important platform. And with that, hopefully that sets the context. Let me invite Mark on stage to introduce himself and TubeMogul, and we'll be followed by the others as well.
Thank you very much, Rags. Thank you everyone for coming. I know it's the last one of the day, so I appreciate it. Again, my name is Mark Galens. I'm VP of International for TubeMogul. And I'll just show you a couple of slides introducing TubeMogul and who we are. But essentially, we are a video marketing company that's built to deliver brand messages to target audiences and measure those results across any format. And part of that is a video DSP, which I'll cover, and then part of that is our analytics platform. We started as an analytics company and now track about 4 billion streams per month worldwide, including powering analytics for Brightcove. So our platform, our DSP, setting up a campaign and delivering a campaign can be involve a lot of parties, many publishers. So what we've done is we built a platform to streamline that process, make it very easy to set up a campaign with real-time media buying, ad serving, targeting, optimization, and analytics, all built in together in one platform, and having the ability to get a pretty sophisticated campaign live in a matter of minutes. As a video DSP, what this means is we're plugged into is a demand-side platform, which means that we plug into many marketplaces, many of who you might be familiar with, Google and YouTube and Brightroll and others. And you can buy across all these inventory sources through this platform. And what that means also is that we can reach viewers wherever they're watching video. So not just within pre-roll or VOD, but also social media, games, and applications, which we can talk about here, very useful, display, mobile, and connected TVs as well. And then very important, we provide a site-level transparency for every impression, every click, every share, so you know what sites that you can target and to improve your social, your campaign. And if it's sharing is one of the KPIs, you'll know what sites where every share happened in your campaign. And finally, we measure beyond just the stats and the KPIs. We measure brand impact, brand studies to see what actually was the impact of your campaign on the brand itself. And that's it. That's TubeMogul. Thank you for having me here.
Great. Thanks. Kostas?
So, thank you everybody for joining us. My name is Kostab Bhattacharya. I'm the Senior Technology Manager over at Channel 5. So I guess most of you are fairly familiar with the TV station, but just briefly, Channel 5 is, I guess, the other channel here in the UK. We are the youngest terrestrial broadcasting channel, set up about 15, 16 years ago. Our digital media division was established around about 2007, and we've primarily grown in the market of developing websites for our brands, and increasingly recently we've been doing a lot of work in the area of getting our content out onto multiple devices. So back in 2007 we launched with our Demand5 platform, channel5.com, Demand5 launched. We then released a number of other websites, but over the last 12 to 18 months and going forward, I think our focus is definitely shifting more towards delivering our content, not just online, but on devices like iPad, iPhone, connected television devices, games consoles, and so on. So what I wanted to talk to you about today was an interesting project that we engaged with a couple of months ago when Channel 5 won the rights to broadcast Big Brother. So we have Big Brother for about 2 years, and this year, starting in August, we transmitted the first of Channel 5 Celebrity Big Brother, and we're currently in the midst of Civilian Big Brother. That ends in a couple of weeks. I just wanted to dive into what we did with that project, how it's been going, and how it's really in tune with the way Channel 5 is transforming and doing things online and trying to reach new audiences. So here are a couple of key facts. I think probably one of the most interesting things about what we did was we decided early on that we weren't going to emulate the model that Channel 4 used, where they set up a pretty extensive website and aggregated a lot of the content through that portal. We kind of flipped that coin on its head, and we decided that Facebook was going to be our vehicle for having pretty much all of our short-form video content, the buzz, the conversation, the news, the facts, and so on. So we engaged with a developer with an agency that developed a Facebook application for us, which was our main vehicle for promoting much of our content. The other interesting thing is, for the first time, we've enabled voting in Big Brother through Facebook. It's never been done before. It's using Facebook credits. So if you were to add the Big Brother Facebook application to your Facebook profile, you could then go in, click on the vote button, purchase credits, either using PayPal or your credit card and various other methods, and then cast your votes when the voting windows are open. The other interesting side to mention is our usage of Twitter. We set up 3 Twitter IDs. As you can see, BBUK is used to broadcast key events throughout the day. BBUK Live is probably the one that has the greatest following. We get a tweet from that every 15 minutes updating viewers on what's going on in the house, and then BB Bits is for Big Brother bit on the side. So all of these combined have really helped us drive new audience and increase our adoption of video consumption. Some interesting facts and figures here. In the first week of launch, our short-form video views went up 187%, and long-form, not such a big increase, but still appreciable at 46%. And that trend of increase has been going up and sustained through the lifetime of Big Brother, both Celebrity and Civilian. Our ad impressions also in the first week went up by 16%, and we've seen a sustained growth in that area, which is, I think, probably the most important factor for us. The whole point of us pumping our video through a social media platform like Facebook was to try and reach our audience firstly and engage with them. One of the interesting facts was, I guess, Channel 5 didn't go for the live stream, which Channel 4 did have, and in the initial few weeks we got multiple complaints through comments on Facebook and online, why aren't you doing a live broadcast? But what we found was, soon after that, those kind of comments trailed off, because we fed the Facebook app with so much content. And if you go on there today, there are literally thousands of videos updated every day, keeping the audience fully up to date with what's going on. There's a very lively conversation going on within that forum right now. And lastly, year to date, our long-form video views have increased by 127%, and that again feeds into our desire to transform from a display advertising model to a video advertising model, which is really doing very well for us at the moment. So those are some of the facts and figures. Let me show you a couple of pretty pictures so you can see what this all looks like. This is channel5.com/bigbrother. So essentially what you're looking at here is a microsite. Not even that. It's pretty much what you see there is it. You have the profiles across the top. You have a Brightcove video player in the middle with short-form clips displayed, latest news, and some other forms of social media streamed in, Twitter stream, a bit more Facebook down at the bottom that's got cut off. And essentially, when the user comes to our site, that's what they see. At the top, I couldn't fit it into the screenshot, but we have a link to Facebook. And this is where you dive into the Facebook application. So we're looking at Facebook here. And the key elements are getting the latest news, pictures, videos, and being able to cast votes. So here's a screenshot of the video panel, splitting video up across all of the different days. You can filter it on the latest videos or on a particular housemate, or you can search for a particular phrase as well that you might be interested in and bring back all the videos based on that search. This is what happens when you hit the vote button up on the top right. So a panel comes up asking you how many credits you want to purchase. You select what you want. It takes you through to a payment gateway where you can choose PayPal or any number of other payment methods. You then complete your transaction and you go into the voting panel. So during the window when voting is open, this is what you see, and then you can vote on the evictees and cast your vote, and hopefully, fingers crossed, your chosen evictee is evicted thereafter the next day. And that's it.
Thanks, Kostas. Thank you. And just to finish the introductions, Adam, great if you could introduce yourself in Diagonal View.
Hi, my name's Adam King. I'm here from a company called Diagonal View. Can I set down? We are basically the world's leading independent producer of short-form video. We produce video that, through the miracle of platforms such as Brightcove, is seen across platforms from YouTube, Bing, Facebook, wherever. Anywhere you can watch short-form video, you're probably watching one of our videos. If it's a dog skateboarding or a man falling off a bathtub, something like that, that's kind of what we make. I joined the company about 6 months ago, and the company has been going for a couple of years. It's a startup with 50-50 with ITN. And so it leverages the ITN archive and takes what was made as kind of long-form news stuff from Reuters, Pathé, ITN, and turns it into short-form media. Now, when I joined the company, I came from a traditional broadcast background. I used to be a TV producer. I used to make panel shows and stuff like that. We were very good at making short-form video. We knew how to make 90-second to 2-minute 30 video, how to hit all the points, how to keep people engaged, how to keep viewers there, how to satisfy what people need and want from online short-form video. But we were still treating it very much like a traditional broadcaster. We were just pumping this stuff out, putting it across different channels. We didn't really mind where it went, but as long as people watched it. But we weren't engaging with social media. In the few months I've been there, we have hired as many people as we have working on producing the content to socialize the content. And I think this is something that is incredibly key. We have seen our views on YouTube go up, I think 77%. We now get around 20 million views a month on YouTube alone. And this is because, I think as Rags was saying earlier, people forget that YouTube, it's not just a place people go to view things, it's a social media site as well. So now when we produce a video, any video, we socialize it. And that means, we don't just build anticipation for the video, we try and work out what it is our viewers want, so we can get feedback instantly from what they want to see, where they want to see it. But we also try and provoke our viewers. We now make videos that are open-ended, that ask questions, that end in, so if we make, one of the things we do on Facebook is a series of football videos about the Premier League. Now this we do in association with the PFA, the official players' fans pages. So in the last few months since we started that gets hundreds of thousands of views every week. You might think that's a pretty easy sell. It's Premier League football, and there's a captive audience of millions of fans for, say, Steven Gerrard, who get this video pumped directly to them. But we've noticed that if we make a video that's provocative, that asks a question, who's better, Frank Lampard or Steven Gerrard, that video gets exponentially more traffic. It goes viral. We don't have to socialize that video. Fans do that for us. It's the same on YouTube. When we make something that's provocative, that asks questions, that stirs people into a response, that doesn't put across our point of view, but is open-ended, we find that video will go viral much, much more rapidly than anything else that we make, even if the content is very, very similar. We also find that despite having a room full of people socializing this stuff, if we work carefully, we can seed videos with the right people, with fan groups, with interested parties, with vloggers. Those people will it will be like a cascade effect, and those people will socialize our media for us. So one person can in effect seed a video carefully with 10 to 20 people rather than just spamming his mates' Facebook accounts with it. And we will find that it will be in hundreds of thousands of inboxes within 24 hours. And all of that is done, and that's the best part about it, by people we don't pay for. So to be brutally honest about it. So that's kind of the importance of social media to us. In the last 6 months, we've seen this go absolutely crazy for us, and it's a key plank of our business, and will only continue to get more and more important. I think one of the partners we're working with at the moment, I can't say too much about the project because we haven't actually launched the product yet, but we're about to go live with a site called Stardoll. I don't know if any of you are familiar with it. It's a social networking site mainly for sort of tween girls. So the content is very kind of Robert Pattinson heavy and kind of, light fashion, Justin Bieber, that kind of thing. So we make video for them. So they get short form videos, with Justin Bieber on the red carpet with our Pats, looking with his shirt off. But we're also making interactive content for them where they can kind of place their avatar within the video. And like I said, I can't say too much about this thing. So again, and the whole point of these videos is that they share them and can invite their friends to join in with these videos. This I see as the kind of the future of our business, basically. It will become more and more important. That's it for me. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Adam. Thank you. Great. Let's kick things off. Thank you all for the introductions. I think maybe first things to maybe kick off the conversation is let's talk about the platform. So we just heard about YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. Do you guys think are those sort of pretty much the only games in town? Are you focusing much time on anything else? How are you? What's the relative importance of the various platforms? And maybe Kaustav, we can begin with you because you clearly made a very conscious decision to build Big Brother on Facebook. Mm-hmm. Well, what about the audience on YouTube? What about other places that people are hanging out online?
Mm-hmm. No, that's a good question. I think our decision to leverage Facebook was primarily driven by the fact that a lot of our audience already exists within the universe of Facebook. Channel 5 as a company has already had a presence on Facebook for a number of its other shows, and we've leveraged that to direct traffic to the Big Brother Facebook page, but also used Twitter as a medium for generating conversation, not just broadcasting about here's what's going on, but also instigating conversation and causing that kind of interplay that you were talking about just a few seconds ago. Mm-hmm. But also I think you're right, there are other platforms such as YouTube and others where we also have a presence. I think the interesting thing about what Channel 5 is doing is they're really utilizing a model of hyper-syndication where we're trying to get our content out to as many platforms as we can. So consequently, a lot of Big Brother content is on a dedicated Big Brother YouTube channel. Okay. And a lot of that content is cross-seeded from YouTube into Bright Cove and consequently onto all the outlets where our Bright Cove player is syndicated to, Facebook being one of them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Adam, do you agree with that? Well, I mean, clearly you guys are doing a lot more on YouTube, and maybe Adam also, if you could also maybe give us a sense of the scale at which you guys are operating in terms of traffic, or how do you measure, number of videos, things like that?
Well, I think we do round about 55 to 60 million views cumulatively every month. And just in terms of the importance of the socialization, the interaction, I think Kaustov made a very good point in that it's if you can, obviously we are, I don't know what everyone in this room does, but we are still broadcasters. We make product, we put it out. But the more we can feel like that, the more that your consumer, your viewer can feel like they're entering into a conversation with you, that there is a chance you'll answer them back or respond to them, which you can quite easily online without changing your whole business model or having to kind of, oh my God, stop making that, now start making this. For relatively little effort, you can engage with your viewers and build loyalty and dwell time, and people will come back and recommend you to their friends. And as we were saying earlier, a recommendation from a friend is worth 100 recommendations or advertising slogans. So for us, in terms of its importance, it's key. We now have just as many people working socializing media as we do making the media. I mean, and obviously we are still primarily a production company. That's what we do. But it's a key plank of it. You couldn't do we couldn't do the one without the other.
Mark, do you agree with that? I mean, are you guys seeing, you guys see a lot of videos streamed through your network or through your publishers. Do you have any sense for how that breaks down between their own sites and destinations versus social platforms like Facebook or Twitter or YouTube?
Sure. Well, it is those platforms really are dominant, and that's where people are spending their time, and they are also the biggest refers of video views on those platforms. Even driving views to publisher sites, the videos are discovered primarily on YouTube, on Google overwhelmingly, and then Facebook and Twitter as well, which, as you said, are the fastest growing in terms of referring. So I think being on those platforms is important, regardless of where the content lives, partly for discovery alone.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And maybe looking at it from the advertiser's point of view, let's talk about the monetization a bit now and change gears. We've all heard of the challenges of monetizing social media and so on and so forth, and it's been a bit of a dead horse to beat. But let's talk about the monetization. Is an impression in your eyes? Are advertisers making distinction in your network?
Yes, certainly. I think, in fact, a targeted impression is much more valuable than a targeted view is much more valuable than 10 untargeted views. And targeting is, from an advertiser perspective, is.
But does an advertiser do you get the same price for an advertiser for an impression on a publisher's website versus an impression on YouTube or on Facebook?
No, certainly they are different.
Okay.
In the social media sites, they are much more engaging, and they tend to be among the higher priced impressions for that very reason.
So there's actually a premium for people to buy on Facebook than on a destination site.
Well, it depends on where in Facebook. Facebook has so many options for advertising. Display is rather inexpensive. Within other mediums like games and things like that, it is more expensive than a destination site.
Okay.
I think that's an interesting point, because I think in terms of targeting the audience, I think that's where you could really drive up value in terms of this value of the CPM. An area that I'm personally quite interested in is content recommendation, not just from a friend's perspective, which I think is probably the most compelling. When I recommend a piece of content to you as a friend, you're probably more likely to view it than just randomly being recommended by an engine. But I think there was an interesting point brought up by somebody in the audience, I think yourself, early on, about why Yahoo's video impressions are so high. And I may be wrong in this, but I believe that they saw something like a 250% increase in video consumption following the installation of a recommendation engine that drove up the engagement and consumption of their content. It's not something that Channel 5 are actively doing at the moment, but we're certainly very interested in those areas and investigating ways forward. But for me, personally, looking at what's happening now and in the future, potentially, the ability to not just target an audience, but to identify a captive audience within a particular interest group or a genre or an affinity group is where advertisers could potentially gain a lot of traction and therefore enable companies like Channel 5 and other commercial organizations to drive up the CPMs for those targeted captive audiences.
So that's interesting though. So you showed us the page of the Big Brother page on Facebook. It had a sponsor entitlement looked like on the top of it. It had some other ad real estate. So you know, can you walk us through how is that being monetized today? Is it a sort of set sponsorship for the page? Is it impression based? Is it a combination?
Yeah. So we have sponsors for what we're doing on Facebook that have sponsored the project through a number of different means. So, for example, in the offline world, we struck a deal with Domino's Pizza, where the housemates were tasked with creating their ideal pizza, and the winning pizza design would then be offered by Domino's to customers, which worked out very well for us. But you know, in the online space, you know, certainly we have sponsorship, we've got display advertising, but I think the importance is squarely and fairly placed on the video advertising element, where if you were to go into the application, every single video that's available on the short form primarily, you'll see that there's a pre-roll and a post-roll. For the long form video, there's more scope for having mid-rolls as well. So that's where we've really concentrated all the effort in monetization through video advertising.
And can you, how does that work? So, you know, just to keep on that thread a bit, so you're doing pre-rolls, post-rolls, some mid-rolls. You know, how long are they? What kind of CPMs are you seeing? Are you selling those primarily in-house, or are you using networks?
Yeah, so we are using networks, and I would say the success I think has been in just going back to the point that I made earlier, because of the captive audience that's really interested in Facebook. I think the focus has been primarily on the video side of things. That's really driven the revenue. Our short form video is around about 2 minutes, 30 seconds or thereabouts primarily. So that doesn't give you much scope for having that much advertising. But typically we're looking at between 60 seconds to 30 seconds pre-rolls on short form videos.
That's very long. Have you? Do you measure the drop-off rate? You know, it sounds like you're comfortable with that. Clearly.
Yeah, we are. We've actually increased the length of our pre-roll advertising on the back of the success of selling the inventory so successfully over the last couple of months. Not just on Facebook, but before our engagement with Facebook. So, you know, we've seen the pre-roll times increase from 30 seconds to 60 seconds. Certainly on long form, even longer in some cases. And the audience has stayed with the content, I think probably because the brands, the programs themselves have very strong content. Shows like Gadget Show, Fifth Gear, you know, really done well.
And CPM wise, what's the range?
That I wouldn't be able to comment on, but yeah, it has been pretty good for us over the last 12 to 18 months.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Adam, how about Diagonal View? How are you guys monetizing the work you're doing on social media and the traffic you're getting from it?
Well, I think the point's already been made that if you have a targeted group of consumers who are watching these videos, then that's a really, really attractive proposition to advertisers. So the CPMs are exponentially higher if something is being sold, if a video is being watched on Facebook, even than it is, say, on YouTube. The one exception for that is click-through advertising, which I mean, we sell pre-roll, mid-roll, pop-ups. We'll sell anything. But just to contradict myself almost instantly, click-through advertising, say, we can command an exceptionally high CPM for, but we're very, very wary of, because it's the voice of the channel that's recommending people to these things. So if we say, click through here, hey, check this out, guys, and someone clicks through and the advert is terrible, I mean, just recently, a case in point, a certain electronics giant offered us a campaign and offered us a very, very, very high CPM for a click-through thing. We're like, great, fine, we do this, we can all retire by Christmas. We took one look at the campaign, and it was and we said no, because the advert was terrible. If we say to people, click through on this, we're going to destroy our subscription base. People aren't going to come back. We're going to ruin our customers' loyalty. So it's not worth it. If it's something like, if the advert's cool, we did one recently for, I'll say their name because it was a good advert, for Heineken. It's a fun advert. It's good. So you can genuinely say to people, click here. It's a funny advert. Hey, watch this. And people click through. We fulfilled the campaign very easily, made a lot of money from it. So it's a double-edged sword. It's whilst you have this kind of captive audience of targeted consumers that you can reach out to, you've got to be careful that you're offering them the right thing. Because again, if you recommend something, it's your recommendation, it's your word that is kind of being tarnished and being destroyed.
Yeah, and just, are you guys seeing a premium for, are you able to leverage the targeting capabilities of these platforms? So can you tap into the demographic information, say, for the Facebook users and be able to send them a targeted ad accordingly? Or are you not there yet?
Definitely. I mean, with our products on Facebook that are sort of Facebook specific are a football one and a music one. And so the music one is incredibly targeted because we can say, this video is going out to everyone who's a fan of JLS. This one is going out to Westlife fans. So advertisers can take one look at that and say, Westlife is my target audience. That's the consumer I want to reach out to. So we can command a very, very high CPM from Facebook campaigns.
Got it. Okay. Mark, anything to add from your perspective?
Yeah,
on the monetization front, yeah.
Well, particularly with targeting, I think actually, within Facebook, you can be highly targeted. You can use the demographics of each individual user. I mentioned these Facebook advertising within Facebook games, and it's really the first scalable video advertising solution within Facebook. And you can target contextually with the games. If it's a football game, and it's a sports ad, you can do that. But
what do you mean by first scalable video possibility on Facebook?
Well, the click rates on banners are very low. It's very difficult to get a scaled video advertising campaign planned within Facebook. The click rates are so low that it's really expensive to do it in an in-banner solution within Facebook. So within these games, because the user is by its very nature very engaged with this game, they become also engaged with the videos and the video advertisements that are offered.
And you're saying the click rates on the banners are so low, or the click rates on the content?
The play rates, really, if you're advertising within display on Facebook, they're extraordinarily low, and so it's difficult to have a large scale campaign within Facebook in that manner. But with the games, you're actually able to do that, and I think I forget what the number is, but a good percentage of UK audience are playing games within Facebook, and so you can actually reach a high percentage of the UK audience through these actual games and applications.
Okay. just to maybe switch gears a little bit, and Adam, you brought up a couple times the people you brought on to socialize video, which I thought was a great term. Can you talk a bit more about that? What's the job description? What do these people do? What kind of, how do they get measured? Because it's fascinating, and I'm sure there are probably companies that aren't doing that, and we could maybe really learn some lessons.
Well, let's start with the metrics. The metrics for their success are very simple. Every Monday we sit with them and see what have we done in terms of how many subscribers have we added, and how many likes have we shared, how many times have we been shared, and we can look at that and we can see a graph going like that since these guys have been employed, which is great and very impressive. And in terms of who these people are, it's they've got to be kind of young, they've got to be digital natives, they've got to be guys who understand this and can teach us a thing or two. It's what's great about working with them, and it's and very energizing about it, is every time we sit down to talk to them, I find out something new. It's like, I don't claim to be, it's kind of a second-hand thing for me. But for them, they've grown up with all this technology. They've grown up with this. It's when I used to be a TV producer. I mentioned this before. We went to meetings at, say, BBC Three, and they'd say, now people watch TV programs with 3 screens in front of them. They'll watch it with, the TV screen, the laptop open. And I'm sure this is something you guys know very well at 5, and with their smartphone. And that used to make me feel very like, well, crikey, you ungrateful bastards, I spent ages making this show, now pay attention. But now you think, well, that's how people consume things. So these guys understand that inside out. So what we're looking for is someone who is smart. When we ask them to socialize a video, we'll typically take them on for a trial period of a week. And in that time, we kind of know if they're asked to socialize a piece of content, how do they go about it? If it's just kind of, well, they just went and spammed every Facebook group about this topic and just went and spammed all their friends about it, then that's no good. I can do that in my lunchtime. It's what we're looking for is someone who thinks kind of obliquely about it, who can come at it from a slight tangent and kind of approach it in, well, okay, we've got a factual video that's about Bruce Lee, but we notice that rather than just spamming Bruce Lee fan pages or whatever, we'll kind of see, well, who's, has Shane Dawson mentioned Bruce Lee in a recent video? Has kind of, Sexy Phil mentioned him and then post that video as an answer back. And if you kind of do that, then you will see great, huge spikes in traffic, and people don't regard that video as having been shoved down their throat. People think, oh, cool, it's on Shane Dawson's page, it's on Sexy Phil's page, it's on Charlie So Cool Like's page. It's something that I've found, and it's cool and it's great. It's not just, I think, one of you guys made the point earlier, it's not just transmitting stuff. It's not just getting on a Twitter feed and going, hey, check our video out, hey, check our video out, hey, you may as well just take a megaphone and walk down Oxford Street shouting, hey, check our video out with a sandwich board on. It's going to have a similar effect. It's going to piss people off.
It's about engaging and creating that conversation. Yeah.
Kaustav, do you have similar people at Channel 5?
I mean, we do things in a number of different ways. Our editors tweet, update Facebook, people on set, especially on Facebook, on Big Brother from the studio, also are tweeting and updating on Facebook. But for us, it's very similar to what you were just mentioning. It's about creating conversation. It's about finding where the conversations are happening and inserting yourselves into those conversations to create an opinion, to drive an opinion, not just to broadcast, here's our content, come and click on it. A great example, a personal example, not related to Channel 5, was a recent trip to Mongolia. I wanted to, as an experiment, see how much of an audience I could grow on my Twitter stream, and I built up a kind of like a pre-campaign talking about Mongolia, about its issues, its challenges, about its beauty and landscape, and so on. And when I got there, I constantly just tweeted about my experiences, searched for people who were talking about similar topics, and engaged them in those conversations. And that naturally created a snowball effect that by itself grew and expanded. And within a period of a week, I had an additional almost 1,000 followers on Twitter, just from engaging other people in conversation, not just going on about, wow, there's a Przewalski's horse, doesn't it look beautiful, but actually finding out what people want to talk about and inserting myself into those conversations. I think similarly, if you look at what Channel 5 and quite a lot of other broadcasters are doing, they're following that similar model of inserting themselves in.
Okay, great. Maybe one last question before we open it up to the audience. We've been mainly talking about the big three, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Anyone else that's taking up your time or attention in terms of other emerging platforms out there, maybe ones we haven't heard about? Well, we did hear of Stardoll mentioned by you, Adam. Anyone else that we should be paying attention to?
It's interesting. At Channel 5, we haven't really started considering it seriously yet. Conversations have been going on, but Google Plus is obviously the one that's just around the corner, potentially, and on everyone's minds. I'm not completely sold and convinced by Google Plus yet, or on a personal level, I'm a big fan of it, and I proactively use it. In fact, I find spending more time on Google Plus now than I do on Facebook, which has really transformed over the last month or so. I think Google Plus still is a very niche audience. It's primarily the geeks and sort of the opinion leaders and opinion seekers out there, as opposed to my regular friends. I migrated all of my Facebook friends over to Google Plus in the first week I joined, using a tool by some guy in India who wrote the script that you just transfer from Facebook to Google Plus, including your photos and everything. But it's been a month and a half or 2 months, and out of those 800 or 1,000 people or so, I would say only about 5% of them have joined from that invitation. And out of that 5%, only about 1% have actually engaged in posting anything. So, I think until Google launch their equivalent of Facebook pages and a hell of a lot more, I think it's going to be a while before Google Plus makes a big indent into Facebook's territory.
Okay. Anyone else have any others to add before we open it up?
In terms of platforms, I think in each country, they tend to have, maybe non-English speaking country, there are certain platforms that are important, particularly for advertising campaigns. But mobile, really, I think is kind of the next one to launch in terms of social and engaging the customer. I think that's really the extremely important one.
Mobile in what way? I mean, in terms of in just generally, or more specifically in terms of, like, say, check-ins or anything like that? Yeah,
no one specific platform like a Foursquare, but just the ability to engage through through a mobile experience, through a mobile phone is even much more personal than through through a browser. And so I think therefore the capabilities are also much greater.
Okay, great. Okay, well, maybe we can open it up to the audience for questions. Anybody? Any questions? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay, yes, the gentleman in blue.
In terms of Facebook, amplifying people's interaction with Big Brother, when people are voting, is that being posted on their page so they actually have voted and all their mates know, or not?
Yeah, that's right. So when you go in and you firstly, if you add the Facebook application, it actually broadcasts to your friend that Joe Blogs is now using the Big Brother Facebook application. There's a section of the screen that shows you who's using what. But also when you post a comment, or you like a video or a photo, or if you cast a vote, that is broadcast not only on that Facebook app page, but also on your own personal news stream. So your friends can see what you're doing and go, hey, that's interesting, click and follow through.
Just to add to that, is tell me about on the voting. Were you happy with the results? Because these are actually using Facebook credits to actually pay for a vote. Was it a money maker for you? Was it a more of an experiment? Do you plan on doing that more?
Yeah, I think it's a sort of bit of both. It was an experiment to be different. The first to do Facebook voting in Big Brother. I think it has been successful for us. Because we have focused pretty much everything we're doing online through Facebook, we found that the uptake of votes has really been good. we will be doing Facebook voting again for the next series of Big Brother, and we think it will be even more successful second time round. Yeah.
Okay. Great. There's another question. Yes.
My question is about the monetization.
Yeah.
I came to Trinity last year.
Yes.
After doing all of the research on monetization, so I just really started going online channels, and produce documentaries and short films. And in the research, what I found was if you're looking to have your own internet channels, like something dedicated to the online broadcaster, obviously when I was talking to people, the first message means, is it going to be financially viable? And so when I was doing the research, what I came across was the issue of monetization.
Mm.
Looking on Joe, Brightcove, Lala, different things, having to learn looking at short-term knowledge within that world,
Mm.
and coming across separate video agencies, learning about pre-rolls, different creators, different things. And then I found that in itself was almost a business in itself. And I kind of took me or my focus away from my production side. So if we're saying, I think I'm going to say Facebook is the art of doing something very well, where it's got a social media, getting people to converse, but they've also learned how to monetize it in a way that have adverts from big companies, as well as ordinary people just advertising their seminars.
Yeah.
So could that be something that
Yeah, so maybe for the rest of the audience and for the audience on the video feed, maybe just kind of repeat the question or rephrase it slightly, which is, if you were to start off with a new proposition, a new content channel, or an idea of producing content today, how would you go about doing it? Would you create it only on Facebook and sort of make your bet there? Would you create a site around it? What piece of advice would you give to someone, especially someone who would obviously naturally be looking for help in monetization?
I think it is a very interesting question. When you consider what many broadcasters are doing today, you'll find that they're chasing the audience where they live today. So that audience might traditionally in the world of analog was glued to the television set, but now they're pretty much everywhere and anywhere on any device that you can find on multiple platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Bebo, and so on. So the question is, if you're putting your content out to all of these endpoints, all of these social media platforms, how best can you monetize it when you're in some ways losing control of that social interaction? When we put something out on Facebook as a video and somebody likes it, that's great. We can see that 250,000 people like this video, but we don't essentially own that interaction data. Facebook does. When somebody retweets something, Twitter owns that interaction data. So you could flip that on its head and ask yourself, what if you own that interaction data as well as those other platforms? So what I'm saying is not taking your content away from those very popular end destinations like Facebook and other places. Certainly put your content out to YouTube, put it out to Facebook, have your own portal where you aggregate some of that content. But perhaps you should also think about capturing that user interaction data so you can build your own social graph and your own profile of your user, which could effectively allow you to monetize that content in a much more lucrative and different manner, potentially.
I guess it's a slightly chicken and egg thing of, if you can kind of build an audience beforehand, you could sell directly advertising on that site, maybe not on YouTube, but certainly on other sites you could kind of... So is there a way of making kind of short form teasers for what it is you're about to do as a documentary? Is there a way of kind of engaging your potential, the subjects of your documentary or the audience for your documentary, and kind of, stirring up some kind of grassroots interest in this thing before it even comes out to this buzz, so there's hype? That's one thing that it's Facebook can sell advertising because they're huge, and everyone wants to sell advertising on Facebook because it's where loads of people are. But before you get to that point, one thing you can do, and that the internet does kind of, I hate myself saying the word empower, but does empower people to do, is you can build buzz, you can build hype without having a huge press machine. If you kind of ask the right questions of the right people and you know your audience, you can kind of build a buzz within that community. Or, you know, if you're doing something about, I don't know, skateboarders, say, you can kind of get into that world and build buzz in that world, and next thing you know, you've got something, even before you've made the documentary, that you can sell the idea of to a Red Bull or a you know, someone who operates in that space. I don't know if that helps at all.
Yeah.
I think you want to ask yourself the question, what do you want to be, a producer or a portal?
Yeah.
I mean, the two things are very different. YouTube don't make videos. Mark Zuckerberg doesn't make videos, but they both are portals.
Yeah.
Look at SBTV in this country. It's a massive success, run by this guy Jamal, who's like 22 or something. It's huge, but he doesn't go out and film stuff himself, but people are queuing up to kind of put stuff on his site because, you know, he's built a demographic. He knows, you know, a youth audience who are kind of, you know, they want to be on that site. It's cool, it's hip, and that's the thing. Is like I wouldn't confuse being a producer with being a portal. It's a very attractive idea, thinking I will own the portal. But as an independent TV producer, I don't own. You know, I didn't work for Channel 4 directly, or 5, or you know, or even the BBC. You work for an independent company and made your stuff on there. So the portal was different to kind of the production side of it.
Well, and just, I think we're out of time. I apologize on that note. It's a good discussion, but I want to thank the panelists and thank you all for your stamina and lasting till the end. And well, thanks very much, and you know, stay tuned. There's a lot more yet to be written and said about social media and video. So thanks again, and have a great day.